What's cracking, y'all? What's cracking? Welcome to Championship Sunday here at VCT Stage 2 Challengers Week 1. I'm Doug. With me is my better half, my main squeeze, Lex. Lex, baby. Digging the shirt. That's fire. The anticipation
like your shirt.
was so good. I love it.
I was teasing Doug during the prep for this broadcast chat, and I was just like, hey, man, I've got a pretty fire party shirt, and I can't wait to see what you got. And I got to be honest, Doug. You look fantastic.
Stop it. Stop it.
Look like you're ready to party, man.
Speaking of players, teams, people, entities that are ready to party, we have two teams who have been working towards a party today for the entire week. You go all the way back to the open qualifiers. That's the path that they've taken to get to this point. And I know I, for one, could not be more excited. But you know what? Why don't we take a look at a recap of what happened yesterday? Let's wet our whistle a bit, ruffle the jimmies to think about what's in store for us. Take a look at what went down yesterday.
Utility usage from Envy. Actually gets close, but they're unfortunately flashed. Oh, it's an absolute bloodbath. This is a nightmare scenario for Envy. Mame at least finds one, but the run and gun is too much fun.
Time still might go down, and he does. But Nitro through with the smoke, with the paranoia as well. Rico's still in the sight. This is getting absolutely slaughtered. Getting up at the top of long.
Oh my god. He, as Asuna wraps around. Still, now the 1v1 Eco. Right through the smoke shots come through. The spike is sticky. He's got to run over. He's got to defuse it. He's got to find the time.
He's looking to take the fight right to him. Still waiting on Dwipo to come on over, but it doesn't matter now in the 1v1 HP. And Dwipo, the world is his oyster. He tries to come around, and it's the clutch for Crashy. One, but the decay is there. Halfway, the spike's going to go. Victor just going to stick it. There's no snake bites. There's no time. And Victor goes clutch. To be taken down. Oh, Dwipo picks up one, picks up two. One Bucky is better than none. One kill to follow. The next one so close. Something a little spicy. It just gets completely stunted and shot in the back. Pure finds three. And player one has 5 players to worry about, standing right in front with just a sheriff in hand. There's no absolute way. As Mummy tries to trade things back with just the classic. Aaron finds another. He's got the classic in hand. He can't find 4, but the Bucky is there. Now Finesse has to go huge. They had the rifles, but it doesn't matter. XSET win the rematch.
I feel like I was in a nightclub there. There's just so many lights.
Oh, man. All right. You had that in store. You took a look at what went down yesterday. Now let's take a look at the not nearly as exciting, not nearly as flashy recap of how things have gone down. You'll see here 100 Thieves and XSET, the two teams that are going to be duking it out. But Lex, really the path for both of these teams has been very different.
Yeah, 100 Thieves coming through the upper bracket, seemingly, near flawless. Envy only dropping the one map against 100 Thieves up to this point, but XSET really had a long, brutal slugfest through the lower bracket, and they came on top of Envy 2-1 last night. It was a fantastic series, and right there at the end, kind of dust highlighting the ridiculousness that went down in that incredible map 2 and 3 of that series. And really, I think XSET has earned their place here, Doug. Can't wait to get into it.
Oh, it's going to be good. You saw XSET whip up a little something fancy. You saw Viper on a couple of maps that really we don't see her on very often. So I know I'm excited to break down this series. It's going to be a good one. Let's take a look at rosters. Let's take a look at lineups, and let's start off with 100 Thieves. You know them. They're a household name in the Valorant space at this point, and with a roster like that, how could you possibly not? One first strike and didn't perform really as they wanted at Masters. But Lex, I know you and I have talked about this. They're undergoing some roster changes, or have as of recently, that you've got to understand, like, to be able to deliver at a high level in what I would argue, yeah, I'm going to say it, I may get some disagreements, but what I would argue to be the best region in the world, it's going to take time for a roster to come together. And you see 100 Thieves, every map they play, they get a little bit better and a little bit scarier.
First of all, Doug, you will get no argument for me about whether or not NA is the best region of the world. Of course it is. However, you know what isn't necessarily surprising to me is this kind of resurgence for 100 Thieves, as you said, coming off the back of some roster changes. But I mean, you see their I mean, I'll call it dominance throughout this, you know, the upper bracket here throughout the week, and certainly moving into the grand finals day, you expect that these guys are going to be coming in here ready to play. But man, I think that if I was going to highlight one player on this roster that has just been so impressive, it's got to be Ethan. Okay,
Yeah.
You know, Asuna has been putting up incredible numbers. There's several players on this roster that you could speak volumes about, but I think every single time we're seeing 100 Thieves play, Ethan just seems to be improving and finding his groove in Valorant, and he came up huge over the past few days. And I just think that that's great news for 100 Thieves fans, where, you know, maybe there was some mixed results, some inconsistencies that you could talk about, but at this point, man, they're looking good.
And again, y'all, it takes time, right? You got to trust the process. I think Ethan has been a standout performer. Nitro, the couple of role changes that he's playing different agents on different maps than he has in the past. And again, just continuing to perform, continuing to deliver. So you're really seeing this 100 Thieves project, right? This roster come to fruition, really hit their stride at just the right time. And speaking of hitting stride at just the right time, you got to look at the boys over at XSET as well, excuse me. The road, I mentioned this earlier, but the road they took to get here through the losers bracket, a rematch with Envy that goes the distance. They adapt on the fly, and they're able to take down Envy. There's a whole lot to like if you're an XSET fan these days.
Yeah, I mean, they beat BBG, they beat Immortals, they beat Version 1, they beat Envy, and all four of those rosters just have been playing, you know, probably near or at the top of their game. And so, you know, for XSET to get to this point, I don't think there's any doubt, you know, even amongst, you know, the haters out there of perhaps a lot of the formerly tier 2 rosters, you know, not a whole lot of super popular fanboy in chat for the XSET folks. You know, there's a little bit on my end where I would call it bias, where, you know, I've got some friends on this roster, some old teammates of mine, and BCJ has had a standout performance yesterday in that series against Envy, so I'm gonna gush a little bit about him. But, you know, I think all 5 of these players have stepped up throughout that lower bracket run that you mentioned, Doug, and it's just it's so impressive to watch the growth of these players, just even week to week, month to month. You know, in 2021 for XSET has just been a steady, you know, rise through the ranks for sure. And now they're in a grand finals against 100 Thieves, who, you know, I think we almost expect them to be here. So I think XSET, you know, you could speak a lot about just the character that's on that roster.
Oh, and I think there are so many different pieces that have been fun to watch, even just through this tournament run. You've got Weeded, who's playing more of a duelist. You've got Aaron, who was primarily a Raze player, who's now mainly playing Astra, and again, still delivering at a high level. I think the narrative for XSET has been, at what point will people believe, right? Like, at what point will they believe that XSET are the real deal, that they demand respect, that you gotta rep the set? And I think for a lot of folks, to be honest with you, there's still a lot of doubters out there who are like, yeah, but, you know, when they just don't really deliver, they're not quite there yet. I'm telling y'all, it's time. And it's time, and for XSET, this would be one hell of a statement to make, taking down 100 Thieves in this grand finals. It is going to be a best of 5. It's going to be a good one. Let's take a look at a couple of players, right? I know we highlighted a few folks during the last segment there, but let's look at a couple of players specifically. Who are you looking at? And we'll start off with 100 Thieves. Lex, if you were to point out one specific player that you've got your eyes on to be an X factor in this series, who is it?
As far as an X factor, I think I already highlighted Ethan as being the you know, the catalyst for the recent kind of resurgence and success. But man, every single time you watch this team play, you've got to keep your eye on Asuna. This guy has just been lighting up the stat sheet consistently for so long now, and it just seems like he's getting better as well as the team gets better. So I think if you're gonna pick a player to watch on 100 Thieves, it's, you know, it's got to be Asuna for me, and I just expect him to deliver here in grand finals as well.
You know, I think one of the fun things about Asuna, as we take a look at some of his stats, is Asuna seems to play the game at times at a different pace than everyone else does, right? Like, he has this effect about him that he can take over a map, he can take over a round and really dictate everything that happens. And you talk about high impact, and you see it in the stats. You look at his first blood percentage, and look, on the side of XSET, we'd be fools if we weren't talking about Pure and the impact he's had on this team. When he's clicking, man, when he's on fire, he's terrifying.
Yeah, and I think that kind of speaks to just the depth that that the XSET roster does have, because Pure, used to be this kind of jet opper who was, a little bit of a one-trick maybe, but I think even he's kind of expanded. He's playing more of the Rays now, and he's producing results with multiple weapons. It's impressive to see his improvement as well.
When Pure bangs, he bangs. Let's take a look at the maps. It is a best of 5, so we're going to see every single map. The only question is, what order are we going to see them in? And folks, if you love Icebox, I have good news for you, because that's where we're going to be starting things off.
Nice.
XSET's going to start on defense, and we'll be popping over to Ascent, where once again, XSET will be on the defensive side of the map. Map 3 will be split, and then if needed, Haven for map 4, and then Bind for map 5. Now, Lex, oftentimes we'll have conversations here, given the maps that maybe were fell off the board and what is in front of us. You have any inklings or any thoughts on who you give the advantage to? But obviously, with this being a best of 5, the question that I have to pose to you here is the order of the maps. Is there anything there that kind of tips a certain team, in your opinion?
Well, Icebox typically has been the ban for XSET, and I think this is kind of a scary place to start for them, just because it's been a while since I've been able to watch this roster kind of, bring in a new game plan to Icebox and show us what they've got on this map. We used to see we did rocking the Viper here. Aaron's already locked in this Astra, so for me, there's a lot of question marks about whether XSET's going to make this a competitive map. And as far as the order of the maps go, Doug, I could speculate all day, but here and now, I think it just starts where if this is going to be a weak map for XSET, and this is just, purely hypothetical at this point, but, at least they're getting it out of the way early. Okay. You know what I mean? If you're going to go down 0-1 against 100 Thieves, might as well just get it out of the way and just focus on whatever you're hoping to accomplish throughout the rest of your game plan. Because, even if you're preparing last night and this morning for this matchup, if you're the coach for XSET, you're trying to get through the game film, trying to see what 100 Thieves likes to do. There's plenty to review there, and definitely there's a lot of nuance to being able to kind of come up with an Icebox strategy that works. But I'm only guessing that they haven't been practicing this map a ton, Doug.
Well, and folks, I have good news for you. So I tweeted earlier, and I said, please give me some more Viper. The man straight up said no, right? And I was heartbroken.
Mind games.
The man lied to me. So we are going to get Viper right off the bat. You mentioned Aaron's going to be rocking the Astra. Elsewhere for XSET, Raze, Sova, and then last but certainly not least, as you see, is such a rise to relevancy when it comes to North American compositions. You've got Sage and then on the side of 100 Thieves, Steel on the trademark Killjoy, and then speaking of trademark players, and Agent Tico's obviously going to be on the Sova, Nitro on the Omen, Asuna rocking things out on the Rays, and then last but not least, you're also going to have Ethan on the Sage. Thoughts on compositions? The single duelist, does that stand out to you, or anything else like that, Lex?
Well, I think 100 Thieves, just this roster with the amount of just talent and experience that you've got on these players, I think this kind of one duelist comp, it's going to work for them. And I think the roles have been continuing to solidify on that roster where, Ethan rocking the Battle Sage on most maps now, it's working out for them. Whereas, kind of like as I was highlighting just a moment ago, I worry for the preparation for XSET on this map in particular, but they do have that added X factor of you can play multiple agents with multiple players. So early on, we're going to get some A pressures coming out here on the attack side of Icebox from 100 Thieves. Doug, take it away.
Yeah, XSET seeming to have a pretty good read on this early on, too, as they have a 4-stack right into where 100 Thieves is pushing in. You see the Viper wall goes up instantly. Asuna pushing in very boldly, which should come as no surprise. And it's actually not him, it's Ethan who gets the first pick onto the board. Asuna continuing to push his way forward, going to get traded out, but kills are going a flurry as Hiko trades back one of his own. The spike is dropped. Dwifo and the rest of XSET look to continue to hold on to control of this site. Hiko's left alone in this situation. He's nowhere near the spike as well. But the thing is, Lex, I don't think they know where he is. But in a 1v3, even if he does manage to walk away with one, his position will be given up very quickly. BCJ gets the third on the round, the last of the remaining members of 100 Thieves, and XSET takes the pistol.
Hey, I mean, if this is going to be their off map, their weak map, maybe you could call it, That's a heck of a way to start, not just winning the pistol, but mobbing it with all 5 players confidently jumping through some dark cover there, over the sage wall, brawling it out. BCJ with 3. That's a fantastic start, and the Thieves don't think they're going to force back into this round. They haven't appeared to yet. To bide their time, see if they can get some orbs out of it, work the map a bit.
That feels good. If you're an XSET fan, that's the only real rifle on the side of the defending squad in the hands of Aaron, and he's already making it pay off. Steel getting one as well to trade it out. So far, I mean, given the gun disparity, a bit equal. A good bit of presence defensively from XSET across the middle of the map, and 100 Thieves are going to have to adjust.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually was an excellent start for 100 Thieves, but an unfortunate death for Steel there through the dark cover. And, you know, as they work this Long B area, there is, at least for the previous round and this round in here, Weeded has been towards the B site for XSET, and they're opting to just kind of play very passive, allow the plant to come through, apply damage from a distance. Nitro falls, that's from Weeded, and now it's just Austin and Ethan in a 2v4.
Nice.
Post plant scenario, Weeded will find Ethan. Austin gets cleaned up by BCJ, and now we got an XSET 2-0 to start, Doug. Nice comfy lead to begin.
A great lead, and then even, you know, you start to think about how XSET have gotten to this point so far. That last round was very defaulty, right? Like, they were full spread. You know, in the pistol, they 4-stacked A. That second round was just a full spread. They had players evenly spread out across the map, and they were just kind of waiting to see what they could pick, what they could find. And 100 Thieves, again, they didn't have much as far as guns go, so you certainly limited in what you can produce. But now we're going to see 100 Thieves from what should be a much better situation. I'm curious to see how XSET choose to play this financially. They did have that one Bulldog that looks like it's in the hands of Pura right now, but it's going to be Spectres and a Sheriff in the hands of White.
Yeah, just continuing the bonus. Early barrier orb over here for a...
Oh, no.
Oh.
That
They fail the boost, and the satchel doesn't quite make it. Hope we get to see that at another point in the game, but... But these pressure towards mid a bit. I was going to take control of tube. But it looks like the play is coming back towards A. 100 Thieves regrouping just outside of brackets on Steel's position now. And XSET kind of slow to rotate, but 100 Thieves doesn't quite know whether or not there's anyone even home, and there's not. The spike plant due to come in here any moment now.
Well, and, you know, in a situation like that, like, you're seeing 100 Thieves invest a ton of utility to clear out the site. Again, nobody's there. But XSET hasn't had to do the same. Now they're going to have a good bit of utility to try to retake the site that shouldn't, in theory, be able to be matched nearly as well. But that in mind, XSET still doesn't have the gun advantage. 100 Thieves with rifles, you're seeing that pay off. And, well, when you've got a Vandal in the hands of Nitro and his ability to produce like that, you understand why. But we did trying to even things out. As it's still 3v2 in favor of 100 Thieves. Hira has no health left. Asuna good for 2 at the end. The bonus stops right there as 100 Thieves get on the board.
Yeah, and every kill did count there at the end. They were able to collect 2, but you can hope for an unfortunate ending there to that run from XSET. But you know what? Round 4 coming up here. The first full gun round for both teams.
Right there.
And what's interesting to think about, Doug, is as we're on watching attack side for 100 Thieves now, you know, a lot of the strength that I would say I put into a roster like this is their ability to prepare for matches, just with the brain power they've got. But if there's no film on XSET, that could be some form of an advantage for them in this matchup. Is for sure. 100 Thieves must take their time. We saw it there, just clearing out that. Ooh, look at that.
All right, so this counter wall goes up, but keep an eye on that spot right there. Pure is good for another one, and he's going to blast back on top of Tube, looking for more. He actually gets shot right in the back of the head. Unfortunate circumstance, but even with the cheeky spot up on the wall, 100 Thieves absolutely mow XSET apart.
I am so sad that they didn't win that round just by virtue of the fact that that wall is awesome. How have I never seen that? There's a couple different boosts that they've attempted so far in this game, Doug. And I don't know if you got the opportunity to see them play against Envy yesterday, but it seemed like every single round that they were playing in that series, they were doing some kind of crazy Sage boost, whether it was multiple teammates or just himself. I love it. It's the Battle Sage in its purest form.
That's going to put XSET in a less than ideal buy. A couple Sheriffs, a Marshal. And really across the board, not nearly as much bang as they would like, as 100 Thieves cheat towards B. It doesn't look like they're taking mid control. They're just going to get full send long, it seems.
Yeah, and if XSET can get a kill or two here, they do have Viper's Pit, they do have a Hunter's Fury on board, so you could play to win if you're able to get a pick or two here and prevent the plant. The Thieves battling, jockeying for position over here towards the double stack of sight and yellow. Ethan finds the first onto BCJ. Now it's a 5-on-4.
Yeah, and there's that Hunter's Fury that you mentioned just a moment ago, not going to be in the fold any longer. And the members of XSET are just so weak, too. We talked about gun difference, but also just like their ability to get on that site with such ease, right? And then really flex the advantage that they had. It looked easy.
Yeah, it looked easy and it looked scary for XSET, just considering, you know, all of these gunfights are basically just being taken out in the middle of nowhere. Okay, there's Ethan hugging the side of yellow, so maybe not quite, but this is confident 100 Thieves right here. These guys are not only hitting their shots, but they're doing so with zero respect, and considering they've won 3 straight now, XSET on another bye, looking to perhaps put a stop to the 100 Thieves train that's rolling.
Aaron's the one exception who's got light armor, and he's going to have a ghost, but that's all. And the aggression from XSET seems to be dialed up at just the right time. Ethan trades it out. With Wifo getting in on the action as well. Meanwhile, Weeded's elsewhere on the map. And at this point, 100 Thieves have a choice, right? You're seeing some of the rotate off, but Nitro's so far up. He can really cause problems here for XSET. Well, good for one, good for a second as well. Not able to land the third, but that really opens up the map for them.
Yeah, Nitro just finding the holes, and if you have the freedom to do that as Omen on this map, there are so many threats available to you that you can make use of, and he didn't even need to do anything crazy there with the shadow step. He just walked right up to Grill, found 2. Now they know the A site is weak, or at least it was, so Hiko, Ethan, perhaps in the coming moments, dropping that spike. Yep, there it is, going down.
Now, Wifo's 1 point away from the res. They have a couple of options to him, but it may not be needed at all. As Weeded gets onto Ethan, Hiko alone in a 2v1, but you know that's never a sure thing if you've watched really Hiko at any point in situations like this. Cheeky shock darts to get him off the defuse. Weeded cleans him up. XSET tie us up at 3 apiece. A great response from XSET.
Yeah, and he almost got Wifo there at the end, down to 8 HP. Both shock darts finding their mark, just didn't quite finish the job. That said, as you said, you know, 3 apiece. XSET answering back in kind, and this really was looking like it should have been a 100 Thieves round after Nitro made that play, but solid retake there, as you mentioned, from Weeded and Wifo, who, you know, I feel like there's a few other players on this roster that a lot of the time get some of the praise from casters such as myself, but I have been so impressed with Wifo as of late. Really has been showing out for his team and winning rounds that, oh my goodness, Aaron taking this aggressive operator angle at mid gets punished immediately by Nitro.
Well, and the Cosmic Divide is no longer available as well, while 100 Thieves have a couple of ults of their own, and impactful ones as well to bring into things. But even with that early pick, it looks like they're going to take some of the middle of the map. They've also worked their way up to 410. There's that lockdown, used at A. Kill trade on the res isn't going to come through as BCJ gets one with the Hunter's Fury. Good for one onto Nitro. Looking for it. No, and he gets the lockdown and the kill onto Steel. That's huge for XSET.
That was the sickest Hunter's Fury I think I've ever seen. Gets 2 kills and the lockdown. Showstopper gets popped by Asuna. Anxious to return the favor. Finds one on the Weeded. Went down to a 3-on-4 now.
The Cosmic Divide. The res was used by Flyfo and Aaron to get the Cosmic Divide back online. And even with that, 100 Thieves managed to get in, get the spike down. Pure using his own showstopper to try to create some space and force members of 100 Thieves back, and you see them have to do it. Now, the one thing is, Hiko does have the Hunter's Fury, and you see him playing off, playing safe. Ethan's going to be the first one to go in, and it doesn't look like he's even going to get a chance to do it. The defuse comes through. With that in his back pocket, the aggression from XSET was just too much.
Yeah, a lot of action going out there, and I wonder whether or not the satchel had kind of disguised the sound of the defuse, because Hiko did not even seem ready once that round ended. But wow, I don't even know. Yeah, just really stellar placement there from BCJ. Maybe got a ping from a teammate, I don't know, but to find the first, a weakened Nitro on top tube, then towards belt found Steel and the lockdown. Really impressive stuff. That's 4 rounds now for XSET. 100 Thieves still in a good financial spot to buy into this round, so haven't quite reached the mark of being reset. And I think for XSET, the only real threats that I haven't been able to handle or respond to thus far have kind of been the mid plays from Nitro. This will be a 4-man push towards long B. 100 Thieves, and we did giving that ground a bit, making sure he doesn't get caught out early.
And again, you'll see Steel is going to play back, make sure no one's lurking through. But then they're really just they've made a similar attempt onto B before, and it worked last time. But this time Aaron was waiting there with an op. He's already good for one. The wall's going to go up. The Hunter's Fury coming out from Hiko. Tagged one, kills one. As Asuna comes back into the fold.
Rez is huge on top. Yellow Asuna taking these long-range duels. Weeded's gonna get the better of him. A headshot, finding the raise. Dwipo pushes in, denies the plant. And there is just 2 players left here for this 100 Thieves attack. Steel has lurked all the way through mid and behind BCJ. And now it's just Pure trapped towards Snowman. Finds one onto Hiko, and it's a 1v1, Doug.
Pure with 70 health left. Steel does have the spike. Perhaps, but doesn't fully commit to it. Pure catches that timing just right for the 3K and the clutch for XSET.
Okay, that's fun to watch. And what's really impressing me now about both these teams is obviously we've seen a few really decisive rounds out of both, but right here, this is just an absolute brawl, and all 5 players from each team getting involved. Steel with this massive lure through mid makes the 1v1 happen, but Pure holding strong, finds 3 on the round. XSET with their 5th.
Now for 100 Thieves, they're going to be bringing an op of their own into the fold. Steel's going to be rocking that. They're going to maybe get some action across the middle of the map, while the Viper's Pit is used early on at B. I like that you really, I mean, you're just systematically taking options away from 100 Thieves, right? Like, it's hard to confidently push into the Viper's Pit, even though you see Nitro in there.
He's hunting her, yeah. Mid
While
split's
the rest,
underway.
yeah, they've taken the middle of the map. They just go right under the tube. Weeded answers the call in his own Viper Spit. Gonna leave that up. Dwifo's in a great spot too, right behind Ethan. The spike doesn't go down. It doesn't get planted, excuse me, but it does drop. Asuna looking to trade things out as he takes care of Dwifo. The Viper Pit is still just a problem. As Weeded, no, it looks away at just the wrong time.
Hiko's mouse just get disconnected. 1 HP. He gets healed up. I don't know what just happened. But he's back.
He's back, and I mean, in a 1v3.
This is honestly, this is his territory, Doug.
Well,
this is where he thrives.
You're right. A 1v3 quickly turns into 1v2 as Aaron is dispatched. But they have a decent idea of where he is. Pure's operator rings just right as he takes care of Hiko. XSET get to 6, a 3-round lead here. And, you know, we saw them invest ultimates early on to try to keep 100 Thieves at bay. And while it looked dicey for a minute, it paid off.
Yeah, and 100 Thieves still able to buy, and they probably will be able to continue to do that for a while now. And really, the story of that round, I think, was we did versus Nitro over there in the Viper's Pit at Long B. There was a really, really good play call from 100 Thieves to call that B split, especially when they met no resistance for their underneath tube. Instead, Nitro getting caught out by We Did, who kind of saves the round in that sense. So 6 rounds for XSET on defense, Doug. This is shaping up to be a much better map for XSET than I could have imagined.
Well, and it's interesting. Look at how XSET are playing the map right now. They initially stacked 4 heavy on A. And after really a lack of early aggression from 100 Thieves, you saw We Did pull off. And now they understand that that's where the play's coming from. Pure got one. He got traded out by Hiko. The patience out of BCJ, who, of course, as I say that, he drops. We Did still on the other side of the map as well, while 100 Thieves seem to still want to hang out by A.
Yeah, just giving themselves some time, some breathing room, make XSET second guess their rotations.
Yeah.
Dwifo getting a little bit of early info, but he gets a little bit more than he bargained for with a hot lead haircut from Steel. To bring this down to a 2-on-4 now. We did making his way over towards the A site. Aaron still over here at bracket. Could cause some problems. But
No
instead,
way, bro.
The rope tricks, man.
Oh, that feels bad. And Steel get onto Weeded too.
That was ridiculous to watch, dude, but that is fun. Steel is feeling it. 6-4 now. XSET still in the lead, but 100 Thieves answering back.
Yeah, and like you when you land shots like that, I mean, like that feels good, right? That feels good. And then even this one, we did have first couple of shots on him, wasn't able to take care of him. 100 Thieves bridging that gap a little bit. They do have the lockdown in mind here as it's online. Hiko and Austin are both 1 point away from their ultimates. While XSET is showing a whole lot more presence up the middle. We haven't seen an aggressive look like this from them.
Wefo finds the first. Hiko answers back onto BCJ. 4's all now. And yeah, that early mid-aggression, Doug, pays off big time for XSET. Wefo with a nice entry.
Nowhere to run.
All right, here we go. 100 Fury coming out. Austin is following it as he gets deep in. He's going to use the showstopper as well. Buy time, right? Oh, Aaron swings at it just the right time, and he's gonna back out. He's not gonna get caught by the lockdown. They don't have a ton to clear it out. I'd try anyway. BCJ, 100 Fury, no, he's actually, I mean, he's looking for the kills. Yeah, and he's gonna get one onto Ethan, looking for another steal with the op. Trying to ensure that nobody works their way into the site. He's gonna get a chance at a couple shots here. Oh no, he looked off. Like, if they're going to want to try to take the site, they're going to have to come back very soon. Weeded goes in, gets one, gets a second, and they get the defuse. The thing is, 100 Thieves were in a decent spot, right? I know they didn't have the numbers advantage, but they were in a position where they really could have won that round.
Yeah, and really, I mean, the showstopper gets popped. You think, okay, Austin is going to find at least one here. He doesn't. Yeah,
or
there's a few
time.
different. Yeah, or at least just being it. And look at Aaron, dude. That is just such a confident peak. Yeah. And man, BCJ's 100 Furies, they have just been finding their mark each and every time he's used it. It's probably been 3 or 4 times in this game. And, you know, even if 11 kills on the board for him, even if 4 of those are from the 100 Fury, all of them have been impactful. So,
right.
Impressive stuff from the Sov on the side of XSET. 100 Thieves, though, they still look very strong in this matchup, but the scoreboard quickly tilting the way for XSET, who's making a long B presence with 3 players now, Doug.
Note that it's pure with our operator. Now it was Aaron previously. Now it's in the hands of their star duelist. The Sheriff's working out just fine. But Aaron gets one back.
Wow.
Ethan trades it out. And all of a sudden, XSET are down to scraps, really, as far as personnel goes.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the plan was for that play.
Look at Steel. It's free, bro.
It's free real estate. All the way through A site, push towards defender spawn. They know, okay, we're just gonna go back the other direction, dude.
XSET opting to use, or excuse me, Pure opting to use Showstopper on the last round. Might as well see if you can catch a couple of people lurking across. No one's going to be home. Thwyfo has to stay back at B to respect it because they don't fully know where the hit is. Steel knows where Pure is, though, as he drops. Now it's Thwyfo in a 1v5, and
That's just nothing
he
to
gets
do.
cleaned up. Yeah, no, absolutely not.
Wow. You know, I think that's still a really strong half for 100 Thieves, Doug, but XSET coming in strong with 7. Considering how their attack side has usually been their weakness in a lot of the series that we've seen so far this weekend. Do worry for this opening pistol and how important it might be for the side of XSET to gain a foothold in this second half, where normally they don't play this map at all. But
And just very quickly realize I miscalled that it was the 100 Fury that destroyed that lockdown. It was actually Pure's nades that cleared it out. But I think that, even with that in mind, there's been so much value that BCJ has gotten out of his 100 Furies that we have to keep a close eye on that. Defensively, 100 Thieves stacking a bit towards A and then a split the rest of the way. Wall's going to go from Ethan. But I like this wall from Weeded as well. They're still going to have to work their way through the early aggression of Asuna. And, well, you've already checked that box.
There is so much concealment over here at the choke point coming into A main. Neither team really knows where each other are as Thwifo in the top side of two finds one. Here with another, and Hiko answering back with a shock dart and a classic burst, but he falls. Now it's just stealing a 1v3.
Yeah, the dust settles and no members of 100 Thieves remain on the side of Chasteel, who is playing elsewhere. Ensuring nothing happened towards B. He's still alive. He's going to get a bead on BCJ. Potentially spotted, I believe it was like, a thread of his cape, and it was just enough to give him away. And that certainly tips things a bit more in his favor, but again, he's still outnumbered. They swing at the perfect time. Thwifo's Frenzy cleans him up. That's 3 on the pistol for him. XSET win this one as well.
An impressive start, and I highlight the importance of that pistol in particular because I honestly feel like, okay, if you're XSET in this scenario, these are the most comfortable rounds you're going to be able to get this entire half, considering how good 100 Thieves can be, especially here on Icebox. So not out of it yet. Certainly have a lot of Valorant left to play potentially on this map alone. And that's unfortunate. That's harkening back to what you were just talking about, Doug. We may have miscalled it, but dude, BCJ really has been opening things up in incredible ways with that Hunter's Fury. So that is just another thing going right for XSET and wrong for 100 Thieves right now as that Guardian finds its mark on a steal.
Again, as we're talking about him, has a knack for making a big kill happen. And they should get on to B, well, really for free here. I think the question is, how many guns are XSET going to be able to walk away from this round with? They invested a Bulldog, they invested a Guardian, so you see they're not walking into this with nothing or just Spectres. They did take a bit of a gamble. Feeling pretty confident about what they're going to be able to get away with. Thwifo spots one, has to back up. Doesn't get messed up at all. Well, actually, of course, as I say that, it's a nade that deals a considerable amount of damage. And cleans him up. The shock dart coming in from Hiko. But it's just delay at this point, right? Like, 100 Thieves, they can't work their way in, and you question whether or not they even really want to at this point. If you know they're locked in towards B, just try to stick them around long enough to maybe get a couple of casualty kills through the spike, but they managed to work their way out. They managed to work their way away.
They get 3 out of it.
Yeah, I mean, a flurry of chaos at the end there. I asked at the beginning of the round how many guns were they going to be able to take into the next round. It was just 2.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. We saw the effects of that in the last half where they played for the bonus, but they had to rebuy a couple pistols. I think it was a Bucky and a Sheriff or 2. And they're going to end up doing the same thing here, obviously, because they want to be able to buy with full rifles into the next round. But, you know, the efficacy, the potential for the round win on the bonus is sometimes game series changing rounds where it really is an extreme advantage to be able to win them. So 100 Thieves, this is a great start with a spam wallbang on a Fury belt on the Nitro.
And really between that early kills, Nitro gets a second one. The fact that Ethan put his wall up, really limiting how many options XSET have to get onto the site. You see this become very difficult for XSET, and it just went from difficult to really impossible. A flawless round for 100 Thieves. You see the power, right? The strength with which they're able to approach round when they have full rifles and they understand their advantages, and they play that to perfection.
Yeah, Nitro really playing confidently on the site, but I think you pinpointed the real, you know, the outcome of this round kind of happens because of that wall, just being able to fight at multiple angles over the top of it. You know, on attack, if you got SMGs, if you got Buckies and pistols, and you need to go get a bomb plant somewhere, A is the site to do it more often than not. But they just get penned up and deleted. So now it's 9-6, a very, very manageable margin to deal with for 100 Thieves on this attempt of a comeback on the defensive side here on Icebox. Doug, map 1 in the best of 5 grand finals.
Careful, Dasana. Careful, Daz. Oh, man. So we hadn't seen an aggressive look like that from 100 Thieves at all, where they worked their way right up to B. It primarily had just been Steel over there. This time he was on A. They read right into where XSET wanted to go, but they weren't able to net any of the early kills. Now Ethan's getting off board. Now he's able to clean one up. Apira trades it right back as he goes out. 2 members remaining on the side of 100 Thieves as XSET get back to full strength. XSET looking real nice this round.
Wow. Yeah, I'm not really sure. You know, I was talking through the very, very opening moments of that round, and it really seemed like Asuna was just on a hunch. Like, I don't think they're here. And I walked up, met his maker immediately, and that just, unfortunately for 100 Thieves, put them at a disadvantage. That was, despite the beautiful one-tap long range from Snowman towards yellow from Ethan, didn't quite give his team the advantage enough to come away with their 7th, and now it's XSET instead. Just a few rounds away from potentially claiming the first map here, Doug, and they are looking so scary.
They are, and I think the one thing to address about that round was Asuna. I mean, Asuna's just so good in those situations, right? Like, how often do you see him do something like that and walk away with at least 1, maybe 2, potentially even 3? So I understand it. It just didn't pay off. All right, XSET now using the drone to get some early information. We're going to see that wall up a lot out of we did across A. You see Ethan has walled off right around bracket as well, much like we saw a couple of rounds ago. Really limit the options that XSET have at A. Mind you, they're not there at all. They're turning a lot of their attention towards B, unwise to the fact that there's nobody there.
These 4 players under tube here, which means that they're hot on the rotate for B, but you hear 3 or 4 Vandals spamming you from that location, you know there's got to be max 1 or 2 over at A, and they elect to fall back here, but just watch the mini-map, Doug. All 10 players in this server heading to the same direction, seems like. There will be a brawl at A.
There will be, still being the one exception, and I was going to say with only 25 seconds left, you've got to commit to this site, right? Hero's going to use the showstopper. They're not respecting it, right? They're just tanking it. Asuna just stands there. He gets blasted in the face. Yeah, the kill gets traded out. But again, with such little time left, you understand why they don't respect it as much as they should. Steel and Asuna get a couple of kills on there that are huge for 100 Thieves as XSET don't find their way into A. 100 Thieves take the round.
Really tough spot to be in. I mean, XSET had the information. Okay, we know that there's nobody home here, but as soon as all that spam came through, you kind of realize, wow, we're moving directly into what could be a 4-man stack for 100 Thieves. And so the decision to pull back and kind of retreat back towards A, I don't think it was necessarily an ill-conceived one, but they lost to the foot race straight up. I mean, there was 3 players, 1 screens, 2 back sight, ready to basically stop any kind of push. Steel with a really tight angle, almost catches the shoulder of BCJ there, but I mean, that was a maybe a little bit of hesitation that you could nitpick there from XSET, but ultimately just a great set of rotations for 100 Thieves.
Excellent set of rotations, and again, understanding that given how much time was left in the round, you press the matter, right? Like, take the 50s, take the fights, see what you can walk away with, and it pays off for them. All we see here, XSET on the 18th round, leaning heavily towards B. Once again, Steel, as he has been the majority of the rounds, playing towards B. Good bit of utility. Looks like 100 Thieves here in a few moments are going to have to rotate off to get back towards B. This is very similar to what we saw in the previous round, but far more commitment coming out from XSET. The showstopper from Asuna not going to connect, but the dart may have been enough. No, they're not going to be able to land any of the kills, while Nitro still is back over towards A. Another series from BCJ trying to clear out Snowman. Once again, the value that he gets from that ult is absolutely insane as Asuna drops, but that's the only one that's dropped. Ethan now falls as well. Steel trying to stick with the fuse. He taps. He pulls up, goes in aggressive. Weeded greets him gladly as he gets 3. What a pretty round from XSET. A flawless one at that.
Absolutely. That's fun to watch. Just raw gun duels at range. Weeded finding his mark with 3. But wow, how unfortunate for 100 Thieves. You've got showstopper on Asuna, and he's blind to the fact that this, the barrier orb was up. There was a wall in front of him, so showstopper didn't find anything. Ethan goes over to res him towards Snowman, thinking, okay, there's plenty of concealment here, I'll be fine. Gets deleted through the smoke. Just both ultimates that were on the table there for 100 Thieves getting taken away very quickly, and the Hunter's Fury, in contrast, paying dividends for XSET. And moving into here, you've got a Viper's Pit available to you on the side of XSET, which isn't necessarily the most useful thing to find entry into a site, especially when you've got a lockdown with Steel. Really is kind of the counter to it. Opting to take this round very slowly, just see if they get any sort of aggression at mid or B from the side of 100 Thieves, but no need to rush into anything yet.
Oh, Ethan continuing to put up that delayed wall around bracketed A. Well, Nitro hangs out with them. Sure, there's no one coming up that way, but again, like X said, it was, as we've seen the last couple of rounds, they've been able to find decent success on this side of the map, so why not hit it again?
Yeah, and early paint shells coming out of nowhere, and I think that maybe is why they're able to exploit this, is just a few miscues from 100 Thieves, and there's the mark that we were looking for Asuna to find. Drops the wall, finds one of the white boat, the spike does get dropped. And so this once very promising push from XSET towards B is going to be pushed back by the lockdown into the waiting arms of Nitro, is pushed through A main all the way towards defender spawn, finds the first headshot. He's joined in a crossfire by Ethan, who finds one, make it 2, and it's just weeded in a 1v5, Doug. And he's even locked down, man. He gets wiped out.
So the strength with which XSET hit in the last round was just countered by 100 Thieves, and you even break down, like, they've played on that spot, that plant spot behind the wall a couple of times now, so they were 100 Thieves were fully prepared for it. Then the lockdown comes out. Ethan and Nitro both are able to position themselves, understanding, look, you have 20 seconds left. This lockdown's coming out. You're gonna have to rotate off, and they just played the map so well.
Yeah, and that lockdown, you almost wonder whether or not there was no hope for them winning that round with that on the table, but moving into round 20 now, Steel taking this off angle again, and he gets the information that a few players have just swung out, able to seed all this ground, all this territory. Cosmic Divide finally comes through.
Cosmic Divide and the Viper's wall is up as well. Once again, a heavy commitment towards B. The wall's in the exact same spot. Here's the Viper's pit, though. That's an interesting wrinkle onto things as Steel drops early on. Michael's still looking to try to get the spike down as they play around the goo. Lifo drops. And like 100 Thieves players, they're just kind of guessing. They have to go in aggressive, right? They have to work their way in, and that's such a big kill. That's going to drop things, but Pure, good for 3. Nitro trades it back out. Aaron left alone in a 1v2. Spots 1. The spike is still not down. He does have time, and he's got a 1v1, but it's against Hiko. No utility. Aaron does have a good bit to work with, but Hiko clutches it out again.
Wow. And you know what? This round and the round prior, Doug, 2 things have happened. And the first is Asuna's staying alive on site, and the second is he's dropping the spike carrier every time. Foifo, thinking he's safe behind his barrier, or thinking he's safe in the Viper's pit. Asuna has sniffed him out time after time, Doug. I did it again, man.
Oh, you caught it.
Production's gonna murder me during the break. It's okay though. Just an impressive adjustment, right? Just to make sure that, okay, XSET isn't just gonna get a free spike plan here. We're gonna delay them as long as possible for the rotations, and suddenly those gunfights, which were favoring XSET so hard in earlier rounds, where they're able to take those ranged duels with no crossfire support on the defender's side, and instead the teammates are finally able to show up. They're able to make the crossfires happen, and 100 Thieves are back in this game at 11-9.
They are, and they're also trying to work their way right into XSET's front pocket as you see some heavy aggression from Ethan as he pushes his way forward right into the stack. And look at how much space Asuna has taken away. He's worked his way all up the middle, ensuring that if they don't make their way into A and they try to rotate out, Asuna is going to be there waiting for them. So they really don't have very many options here. XSET doesn't. Also worth noting, Aaron's on a light gun, BCJ's on a light gun as well, but they're going to have to work their way in. The flank is still left unchecked. Keep an eye on Asuna on your mini-map, folks. He can blow this thing up if there are even any members that remain by the time he gets there. But Ethan and Hiko are doing janitor duty just fine as they clean up the members of XSET. Beautifully well played by 100 Thieves again.
Yeah, just a lot of map control being given by XSET. 100 Thieves not even really electing to kind of respect whatever defaults have been thrown out from XSET at this point. Just pushing for info, and it may have burned Austin once or twice, but like you said, just giving his team all the info in the world. And now, considering the financial situation, not only in the prior round, but in this round coming up, Doug, situation financially for XSET is not quite, abysmal, but it's pretty bad. You got a couple Spectres, you got 1 Vandal, and at 11-10, this is maybe the last round that you want to save in the half, so See what they can do with it.
Heavy middle presence for XSET. They've worked their way up. Austin is waiting on the other side, but it's the Frenzy that takes him out. Pure, you presume, is going to update a weapon here, as we did. He's able to get one as well. Rez is going to come through, and that's big. As Pure drops, Nitro looking for a second. Land it. There's Steel's op, man. They do have the numbers advantage. XSET does. But Weeded's weak. Aaron doesn't have any armor. What they do have is positioning is... I mean, they're doing this thing. Weeded should be able to get the spike down. Nico has some utility. He's in a 1v3. Spots one. Doesn't even get a chance to fire it off as Dwifo takes care of him. You mentioned financially how they were in less than desirable position. Working their way into this round, and they handle it just fine.
I mean, it was enough, right? They basically take kitchen control and they pinch onto the B players. Steel was on an island throughout the most of that. And then Nitro, who thinks his back has been completely covered by his teammate, gets flanked from the long B lurk from BCJ, finding a long-range sheriff kill. And that is just tenacious attack and teamwork coming out from XSET to claim their 12th. This is map 1 point. As 100 Thieves, who just a moment ago seemed to be in full control of this half, have let things slip once more for potentially disastrous finish to map 1 for them, but a fantastic and impressive one from XSET.
It's been very good, but you know, in situations like this, 100 Thieves are far from out of this fight. As XSET work their way up B long, looking to get the ult into the hands of BCJ. So now that Hunter's Fury is online, Aaron's also very close to having his. May be able to land it. Just one with that operator. Now, the thing about 100 Thieves here is, you mentioned in the previous round, Steel has oftentimes been on an island here, but he's got some backup this time around.
Yeah, they haven't actually pushed up towards A or mid at that point, so a lot of the information is just coming from this B side of the map. And BCJ, who's just batting 1,000 with his Hunter's Fury today.
All right, here we go. Showstopper coming up from Austin. They're going to destroy Dwifo as it looked like he was trying to get the spike down. Not able to. Steel getting one onto BCJ as well. Aaron's got the Cosmic Divide now, but he's even going to get a chance to set it off as Pure just narrowly dodges death. Pure in a 1v2. A brutal 1v2 as well. Should be able to pick up the spike. He doesn't have time to rotate elsewhere on the map. Got a decent idea of where one player is now. He knows where they both are. No way. Pure good for one. Pure looking for the second, and Ethan clutches out the 1v1 that easily could have gone the either way.
Oh my goodness. And
Dude, he almost did that.
I guarantee you, he had 10 more seconds left on that clock, Doug. He's got some time to pull out some utility. He had all of his raise kit available to him. Really, really NT right there. Mine's the head of Nitro, who thought maybe he'd be able to silence the deal early. Ethan with a beautiful headshot, though. Got the last word in.
And you know, you highlighted Ethan at the beginning of the series, right? As someone who's been the most recent addition to this team and the transition across games and how quickly is he going to be able to adapt? Because as we know, the expectation at 100 Thieves is not qualifying, right? It's not top 4. The pedigree, the program that they've built has championships in its DNA.
Yeah, and as mechanically talented as the entire 100 Thieves roster is, Ethan, who was an absolute monster in CSGO, making his transition to Valorant somewhat recently now. It's been a minute. But he has, I can't understate just how impressive he is as a player, but every time we see him, he's better. And I mean that in the purest form. I mean, you can measure it statistically. This guy is just really coming into his own in Valorant. Now at a 12-11, this is very important for his squad.
It is, and for XSET, 2 players not going to have rifles. They opt to go for the armor. The Hunter's Fury coming up from Hiko. Oh, no. Oh, gosh, he gets one. Asuna gets one as well, as it looks like overtime is almost a certainty here. 2 members remain. 1, they do it in flawless fashion. Lex, it wasn't a brawl. It wasn't like a fight. They just rolled over him.
Yeah, and Steel looking rock solid on the operator, handling the ultimate answer of, oh, we'll push under tube now. We'll make the will make the split happen a little bit quicker than we had hoped for. Look at these beautiful shots coming out to end the round there, but Hiko really starting things off with a gorgeous Hunter's Fury, which, I mean, we've been highlighting VCJ as just his ability to make things happen with that on the side of XSET. Well, Hiko answering in kind with probably one of the more impactful ultimates that we've seen in the game so far.
Dueling Hunter's Furies have been a ton of fun to watch between Hiko and BCJ, but that sets us out to overtime. 100 Thieves going to take the first crack on the attack side of the map as they lean heavy towards A. Nitro looking to work the middle of the map a bit, see what he can find. It's very similar to what we saw from XSET defensively for really the majority of that half.
Duel at middle. BCJ finding his mark on a Nitro who was attempting to get towards Tube. And that mid lurk who he has been a nuisance all through this game on attack side for 100 Thieves, but Pure over here is going to face the brunt of an A push from 100 Thieves as a lot of territory gets given, but they leave Pure behind, who gets wrapped on by Ethan. So now it's just a 3v3 in the retake, Doug. Sure to come in any moment now.
100 Thieves have managed to take the site, and they aren't committing to getting the spike down yet. They want to get a couple more kills. They want to get a little bit more room before they put themselves in that situation. We did taking care of Hiko, drops things down to a 2v2. And again, the patience from 100 Thieves in this situation. BCJ spotted one.
One enemy remaining.
And now they know where the last player is, as we did. Saw just enough from Steel to certainly hurt.
30 seconds left.
Steel on a 1v2. Spike's right in front of him, just out of his reach. Unwise to the fact that BCJ is right there. So now BCJ spotted that. He knows where Steel is. And with 15 seconds left, he's not gonna have time. No, he wasn't looking at all. Steel gets things down to a 1v1, and he's gonna use the lockdown. Edith's gotta go huge here. Goes down. And Weeded answers it. He does it. He goes just as huge as the team needs him to help win that first overtime round.
Some beautiful patience there from Weeded. Not trying to get overexcited or push the plant. Just waiting to see what Steel does. Steel chooses incorrectly. That's a tough spot. And actually, I think BCJ was looking the wrong direction. And I wonder whether or not it was his teammates, if it was Weeded's Viper wall going up. He was just like, oh, shoot. He could come from either direction, and then it goes down again. Just diverts his attention for a moment as he steps out, and Steel so close to making that a reality. Round win for 100 Thieves. Instead, XSET, who defensively, I mean, they looked really good through, you know, it was 7-5 first half, Doug, and considering we're in overtime now, imagine that both teams throughout both their sides will make a little bit of adjustments. Or maybe not, as Steel is taking that same gunfight we've seen all game long.
Yeah, I do think I want to draw attention to the fact, thank you, Aaron bought an op this round. Again, which would mean he has no armor. Got some utility. But again, highly valuing the investment of that weapon on the attacking side is not something you see super common.
They must have a read, you know, at some point, someone's going to peek under tube and we're going to find the frag. Actually, he just moved back towards A, so it's now left up to Weeded to lurk mid here. As XSET is almost certain to end A.
Oh, he'll get a chance. He's pushing through the smoke. Steel is, and he gets the gunfight win onto Weeded. Nitro's still at the site. The paranoia is going to come out, and the dart was there at least. The spike goes down, but Dwifo somehow manages to stay alive. He eventually drops at the hands of Nitro, but he's going to get tagged up as well. Members of XSET continuing to drop like flies as Aaron and Pure are the last two that remain in a 2v5. Nitro can very confidently just look to stick the defuse without really any hesitation. Full confidence that his team has his back, and we're going another overtime round.
Beautiful play from 100 Thieves, and honestly, maybe a few missed cues there from XSET. We saw the Dwifo not quite realizing that he was being hunted by Nitro on site, but you know, beautiful adjustment there from Steel. It looked like Weeded was going to get a free kill, but I don't think he was ready for it. And you know, 100 Thieves, when things are working for them, it's just so impressive to watch. Moving as a unit on the retake, diffusing before all 5 players have been eliminated. It's just knowing that your teammates have you covered. And frequently we do we are given the opportunity to kind of see just how talented these players are individually. And right there, a duel from Steel again. He's coming up huge for his team in OT.
100 Thieves pressing the matter towards A on the attack side. The wall went up from Dwifo, and it looks like they want to stick it anyways. Asuna works his way forward. The wall goes down. They find Dwifo waiting on the other side. A much better gift than what would have been the other way around. Aaron getting paranoid up as Hiko gets in on the action as well. Steel looking for a second, and Lex, this is... I mean, this is dominant out of 100 Thieves.
It's dominant, but it's coming off the back of some miscues that I just spoke of. Just getting caught out of position. So tragic to see is 100 Thieves is not going to let you make those mistakes. And Weeded is looking cracked right now. It won't matter. Nitro finishes it off, but 100 Thieves, who have really just kind of consistently looked good throughout this game despite XSET's brilliance. And it seems as though the bag may have just been fumbled here in OT 2 rounds in a row for XSET, where teammates just not quite ready for the combat that's about to unfold in front of them. And it doesn't necessarily look like they look lost, but when you're catching a paranoia, you're getting scanned by a recon dart, and you're that far pushed up, it's gonna be a bad time.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, 100 Thieves now looking to win this game.
First overtime round, we saw XSET be the ones to jump ahead. 100 Thieves responded. Now it's on XSET. The onus is on them to do the same thing. As they cheat towards B, they were able to push back Steel with the drone. Tag him up. Viper's wall goes up as well. Now this is, I mean, this is rinse and repeat, right? From what we saw out of XSET on the attacking side. They can get in, they feel comfortable, they feel confident in the wall going up and them trying to plant behind it, but this might be just a bit of like draw out utility, see if you can get a couple of picks. But the thing is, you have no idea what's happening across the middle of the map, so you can't confidently pull back.
And stopping this plant is going to be priority number 1 for Steel here on top of this double stack, but he finds the first on the Weeded. With the wall already down, one player off the table who possesses.
They're stuck, bro. They're gonna have to fight their way through it. Dwifo's already good for 2. Aaron's left alone. They're just blind firing into the smokes. They know where he is. He's got 1 armor, 76 health. And while they may know where he is, he has no idea at all as Hiko, really 100 Thieves across the board. The deficit was notable at halftime, but the second half was beautiful to get them to overtime. Things look dicey at first in overtime as well, but they respond just fine, and they're able to take map 1, 15-13, and man, that was pretty.
Yeah, I think, honestly, throughout the majority of the map, I think both teams were playing exceptionally well, individually and as a team. But really the depth of just the experience and the skill that the 100 Thieves roster can bring to the table shows itself later on in the half, especially when they're on their defensive side trying to deal with you know, that vicious B push, the Astra Viper combo with the, you know, the ability to kind of put the spike down at will. It seemed like there was absolutely no recourse that they had. Instead, Asuna coming up big several times, able to drop the spike for his team, delaying long enough for rotations to come in, and it ended up winning them that map, I think.
It did, and you know, Steel, I know we mentioned him a couple of times during the map, and how many times was he able to get big impact, early kills across the middle of the map, and maybe not necessarily where all that action is, but choke points that cut off rotations. And again, you feel the pressure in that moment where you've lost your lurk across mid, so you can't easily pull off. You're really kind of stuck to either A or B depending on where you were playing, and that forces you into really difficult situations on attack.
Impressive stuff from 100 Thieves taking map 1.
Impressive stuff indeed. Folks, we're going to cut to a break. When we return, map 2 in this grand finals. You're not going to want to miss it. Don't go anywhere.
change of range.
I feel like I need to defend my scene's honor here, because this is just turning into a bit of a dog battle.
Like in groups always look.
I'm cutting you off here. I'm cutting you off. Cutting you off. He said G2's winning it. He said G2's winning it.
We need to wait till the next EU tournament, which could be in about 10 years now.
Take it with like a grain of salt.
No,
but
that's
that
no
being
fun.
said,
Take it super literally.
Spike defused.